What a scene in Saudi Arabia. Michael Venom Page moving up to 185 pounds and defeating Shara Bullet as the underdog. Could you believe it? He was the actual underdog. He put on a masterclass and showed that there are levels to this game. He's on vacation right now, but he's oh so very kind to join us for a few minutes. Let's not keep him waiting and say hello to the man who won on Saturday. Hello, Michael. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. Always good. Always good. Pleasure to be on here again.
Yes, and I know it's late over there. Now you're in Dubai, right?
Yes, yeah, in Dubai, just having a little. It's like a desert, resort, but beautiful here. Absolutely beautiful. It's just like a well-rested few days.
Well deserved as well. So we won't keep you too long, but thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate it. And congratulations on Saturday. One of the last things you told me on Wednesday when we spoke was highlight reel knockout. That's what we're going for. And so happy with the win, disappointed you didn't get it?
Yeah, 100%. That's I'm always, I keep saying this. I'm always seeking that highlight reel. I haven't quite got it yet in the UFC. I feel like I've got respect in the UFC now, but I haven't quite got the actual highlight. The typical MVP that UFC signed hasn't quite showed his head just yet. But I'm obviously happy with the result.
When you say respect in the UFC, respect from who?
I think everyone just anybody that kind of questioned. There's a couple of different things. Questioned my abilities before getting to the UFC. Questioned my age. Am I too old to be able to kind of do it at that level anymore? There was just a few questions going around like that, and I just think there's a lot more people coming around to he's still very, very capable and has always been at that level.
Why do you think? Do you have a theory as to why you couldn't get the knockout? Why you couldn't get the stoppage? Was he a trickier puzzle? Was he harder to? He was having an impossible time closing the distance and connecting with you. But on your side of things, why do you think?
I think literally that last performance gave me the reality that there is a kind of almost effect of the magnitude that UFC brings that can affect you, or can affect, I'd say has been affecting me, because I feel like I'm a bit hesitant, or I'm a lot more hesitant than I used to be when on show. So I'm gonna say that the only difference is obviously being in a UFC cage and having that kind of massive energy and just weight on your shoulders. I think that's the only difference. But obviously, I'm going to keep going back. I'm getting more and more comfortable. I definitely felt very comfortable in the last performance, but there was still some hesitation. So go back to the drawing board and let's just keep getting better.
I heard you say this on Saturday as well, that like the sort of aura that comes with being in the UFC, whatever jitters that come along with it, perhaps in retrospect did maybe affect you. But this is your third UFC fight, and so I'm wondering if you're surprised that you've kind of been there, done that, all over the world. Are you surprised that it's still something on your mind?
Yeah, no, definitely. This is why even when people were saying it to me before. And there was a lot of people that was another question, that can I kind of deal with the pressures of the UFC? In my mind, I was like, that was never going to be a thing. But like I said, I feel like I've learned for the three fights I've had now, that there is an effect there. And I just need to relax and just enjoy it, just keep enjoying myself. I think this third performance was the most I've kind of relaxed and enjoyed myself, and there's still a little bit more to go. So, and seriously, once I figure that out, it's a problem. It's definitely going to be a problem, because then that's when you're going to see some big shots, and I think just more damage landing. I think right now people can see that I'm a tricky person to deal with, but I can be tricky and extremely dangerous, and that's what I want to show.
Have you ever felt something like this in your career, like when you first got to Bellator and that was a step up for you? Did you feel this way?
I'd say no. The first time was my first ever MMA fight. I was at Cage Rage. And yeah, I could feel the nerves from as I was walking in, just because I genuinely didn't know how well I would do as a MMA fighter. I was kind of purely going based on my coaches and them just having faith and saying that, we want you to take this fight. So I didn't really have that belief in myself until I got in the cage and kind of was like, oh, this feels the same. But other than that, no. Even when I got to Bellator, I had that confidence in myself. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. UFC. I thought it would be the same thing as when I got to Bellator, but there is just a different energy being in the UFC. I have to say, there definitely is.
By the way, did you know that tomorrow will be the 13-year anniversary of your debut?
Oh wow! No, I didn't know that.
Who'd you
I
fight?
didn't know that.
What was his name?
Ben Dishman.
Yes, UCMMA,
Yeah,
26,
yeah,
65 seconds.
yeah,
Do you
yeah. It
remember how
was
much you got paid for that fight?
£100.
100 pounds. So you probably
Yeah,
lost
yeah.
money on the fight.
Yeah, it definitely lost money. Got to deal with my medicals and stuff, so I basically paid to fight. But my saving grace was I had a good support from the kickboxing world, the freestyle kickboxing world, and they supported me from day one. And I was able to sell quite a bit of tickets to kind of make up and get some money.
Okay. I heard from a couple of people after the fact, speaking to them on Sunday and Monday, and I'm wondering if you had the same experience. Fighters who told me that they were actually feeling a little bit nauseous in the back because of the paint in the locker rooms. Have you heard about this? That some of the locker rooms were freshly painted and they were feeling like it was very intense. Did you experience this at all?
I personally didn't, so I
Okay.
don't know if maybe it was the room I was in. I don't know. Obviously, I could tell everything was made specifically for the UFC there, so it wouldn't surprise me if that's a thing. It's a shame that that was a thing, and maybe they should have taken that into consideration or thought about that, before we had to go and perform. Because the only thing that I heard, and it was when the slap fighting happened a few days before. The team at the UFC were like, it's very cold back there, so make sure you have your jumpers and stuff for when you're waiting in the back, getting ready to perform. So, yeah, and that was a thing. So when I got there, I was well wrapped up. But luckily, I had that information ahead of time, but I didn't hear about the anybody being sick. No.
Shara Bullet posted something afterwards saying that he was dealing with some stuff, I don't know if he was referring to injuries or whatnot. Your reaction to this, did you know of anything?
For me, I guess he looked a bit off in his weight cut. One of my teammates was saying the same thing. Like he doesn't look right, but I felt like he maybe just didn't do his cut properly, which I've seen many fighters do in terms of that, how stressful that can be. So that was the only time I kind of felt like maybe there's something off with him. But he didn't seem anything. It didn't seem like it didn't even any damage the next day. But for me, it's if I was to give him any advice moving forward, just regardless of what, if you accept the fight, knowing that you have had anything prior to the fight, then the result is the result. If you win, you can say what you want.
Yeah.
But if you lose, just keep it to yourself. I think it just looks, maybe later on down the line you can kind of say, I had a few issues, but directly afterwards it just comes across as he could be completely factual, but it just comes across wrong.
Yeah.
Comes across as an excuse. But that's what I say. That would be my only advice for him.
What do you think after being in there with him is his ceiling? Like, can he be a champion at 185 in your opinion?
It sounds weird. He'd have to, put it this way, if there was 5 more seconds, I would have tapped him out via triangle. It was way too easy to get to that position. Obviously, I went for a crazy kick. I knew the time was going to be up anyway, so I went for a crazy kick. And he had a little bit of probably about 5 or 6 seconds, and in that time, he ended up in a triangle, and that is dangerous. So that says something about his jits. He's going to have to work on that. Stand-up wise, I do believe he's exceptional. He's very fast. He's smart. There's a couple of times I had to keep readjusting because he kept adjusting his timing. And he's striking wise, he's talented, but he's going to have to work on a few other things as well.
Hey there, sorry to interrupt. Just want to remind you, if you haven't already, please do hit that subscribe button. We would appreciate it very much. And while you're at it, give us a thumbs up too. We've got live shows, interviews, clips, and a whole lot more going on this here channel. All right, now back to the show. Do you target the side of his body where he's got the bad eye? Do you try to off the top of my head, I think it's the right side, right? Is it the right side off the top?
Yeah, it'd be his right side. No, it's not. For me, if I've, he's been, I'm not sure how long he's had that blindness in that eye now, but in that time he's had multiple fights and he's extremely competent. He can move. He's been undefeated in that time as well. That to me is not a weakness. That it's a look. It's not a weakness. He just, regardless, he is competent enough to block, kick and punch just as well as anybody else, if not better than most of the people out there. So I wouldn't believe that's a weakness of his and try to, use it. I would just fight him as I would fight anybody else.
In retrospect, be honest, you were a little offended that you were the underdog, yeah?
No, actually, no. It's weird because I don't know how this thing. I'm not a betting person. I don't know how it actually works in general. So I think earlier someone said to is one of my I don't know, one of my teammates was like, "Oh, I'm annoyed because you're the favorite." This was when it kind of got announced, and then closer to the fight, it came up that I was the underdog. It did. I just because I don't understand it well enough. I don't really care, and it's like people saying that they believe somebody else is going to beat me just because whatever reason. It doesn't faze me. I just go in there and just be me. I know how I feel about my talent, my level. So and I'm sure the bookies don't always get it right. That's the reason why it's a bet. So yeah, that doesn't bother me at all.
We were joking about this earlier. What was more expensive, the ring or the engagement ring?
That's the thing. The guys from One of One, they gifted it to me. So yeah, I was fortunate to not have to pay for that one.
Okay.
But yeah, my missus ring very expensive, so I'd say that one.
It looked like a lot of diamonds in the MVP ring over there. It was a fat one.
Yeah, there's a lot of diamonds, just a lot smaller.
Who was wearing that during the fight? Like who had the task of holding on to that?
My boy Norbert Naveni, who's actually a free agent at the moment, and UFC need to look at him because if they want someone exciting, so because for me he's like a hybrid version of me. He's got my bounce and movement, showmanship, and then he can also wrestle. He comes from a wrestling family as well, so they need to jump on that.
Would like to ask you before we let you go about something we were talking about earlier. You are such a free spirit, and you're such a showman. And it's always, so many great memories over the years. And I do wonder, you were talking about like the sort of jitters that come with being the UFC, but I can't quite get over the idea that sometimes I wonder if you're like being forced to be in this box because there is this expectation that while you can somewhat be yourself, like Izzy has had to deal with this as well, but it kind of has to fall in line with what the UFC want while you're wearing a uniform with their specific walkouts and whatnot. Do you still feel like the fights are the fights, but you're also getting comfortable with being the MVP character within the UFC machine, which doesn't give you the same type of leeway that you had back in Bellator?
Yeah, definitely. Like I have to, I'm very quick at adapting. I remember the first time, and I spoke to you about the actual idea that I had for the walkout, and obviously getting everything just knocked away, basically. Still pulling out a very good walkout, and I kind of understand my restrictions now to, like you say, be fit in that box. So my creativity will only go so far at the moment. But yeah, would I love to be able to express myself more? 100%. Would it help with how I feel in there? I'm not sure.
Okay.
But yeah, I'd definitely love to be able to kind of show my character to the fullest extent.
How real is this 205 thing that you brought up?
Yeah, I can definitely see myself doing a fight up again.
That's a big jump.
Yeah, of course. But for me, that's why I say when I'm fighting guys that like to strike, I will fight up to heavyweight. It doesn't faze me, because it's striking. And as much as these guys have got power, they have to land something for it to be effective. And you see how much I frustrate people. You see how many talented strikers come up with no answers when it comes to their favorite space when I'm standing in front of them. So I can do that at any weight. You know what I mean? So 100%. If the fight is exciting enough and it matches well, then 100% I can go up.
If you had to pick at 205, it'd be Yuri, as far as like a fun fight for you up there?
That was more like an example
Okay.
of what a fun fight would look like. Do you know what I mean? I've actually trained with him before. He was down at our gym a lot, helping out Carlos Formola at the time, and we got to spar quite regularly as well. So yeah, I know I can understand his style. He understands my style. And again, we had some great spars, so that would be an exciting fight. I can't think of anybody else, but anybody else with that kind of, just kind of crazy style that wants to stand there and strike, then yeah, 100%, I'm ready.
Alex Pereira is a guy who likes to strike.
That guy's dangerous, man. I'm staying away from him.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. How was your body as an 85er in there? Like, how did you feel?
I think round 3, I started to feel it a little bit more. But again, I know to myself, if I give myself a little bit more time at that weight, I'll adjust. I'll adjust a lot easier. But I felt great. To be fair, I felt great. Like I said, the weight cut was almost perfect. Felt really good. Didn't feel drained. Didn't feel dehydrated at all. Rehydrated really well. And then, like I said, on the day, felt super fast. Last half of the last round, I could feel it in my legs just a little bit. So that's what I'd need to work out. But yeah, it wouldn't take long to adjust to.
But more than likely, the next one's at 70.
Yeah, again, it's I'm sure, because it seems like a lot of people are happy for me to stay there. So the UFC might entice me with some more good looking fights. But in terms of what I would like, yes, I would like to continue with the rankings to kind of push for the belt at 170. Yeah.
Okay, last one. Can I just get your assessment on what happened in the main event? My takeaway was Izzy was looking great in the first round, and in retrospect, obviously you never know, the eye poke, he came back too quickly, switched stances, obviously was bothering him, and he gets blasted. And for him, I wish he would have taken a minute or two just to regroup. What did you see in that sequence?
Yeah. I think that was definitely one aspect of things. I think he could have taken his time, and I spoke to him about it afterwards, and he said the same thing. He probably should have taken his time a little bit more. I've been in that scenario, similar, close to when I first fought Douglas Lima, and I rocked him, and that sparked an overexcitement in me to kind of press a bit too heavy, and then I obviously got caught. And I feel like it was a similar kind of situation. The only thing I've seen is in the first round, I saw it in the first round, is on his retreat, when somebody's like kind of double attacking on his retreat, he's leaning away. He's so comfortable slipping out of things and kind of avoiding it. When somebody double attacks, there's only so far you can go out. You've seen it with, like, for example, Anderson Silva. The first time he got caught big was when he was slipping, and you slip if you don't move your feet and you're leaning out. After a few, like 1, 2, 3, you might be able to slip, but 4, 5, 6 will be a little bit harder, and you can get caught out on it. And I feel like if he changes angles on his retreat, it will make it safer for him. So in the first round, there was one time Imavov threw a shot, and he just was able to slip out of it, and I was worried because his chin was quite high. And then obviously he kind of got caught with a similar shot in the second round. And I think that is an issue as well. But again, though, that's a small issue that can be fixed very, very quickly. In general, he looked exceptional in the first round. And he actually spoke about, out wrestling him, and I felt he looked great wrestling. He tried to get to, he almost got defended 2 great takedowns, because the timing of the takedown was actually really good, but he defended them really well. Went for a lateral drop himself, which actually helped him. Like, he was looking great, and after that first round, I was like, he's got this in the bag. But as we've spoken about a few things, it's just unfortunate. But hopefully, I just don't want him to bury his head or, feel too bad about that performance, and just kind of get back as quickly as possible.
You're the man, Michael. Thank you so much for the time. Enjoy your vacation.
No worries.
Well deserved, well earned. Congrats. Great win. Y'all must have forgot, dare I say. It was that kind of performance. Thank you as always. Great to catch up.
Thank you, man. Always good to speak to you, man. Take care.
There he is, the great Michael Venom Page, victorious on Saturday. Thanks for watching this video. Before you go, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for us. Also, give us a thumbs up, leave a nice comment. These things go a long way. And while you're here, do check out the rest of the channel. We've got live shows and full interviews, clips, and a whole lot more. We're doing big things here, and we appreciate your support very much.